Hey kids, Dean with Crypto the Wonder Dog. Just had a great talk with Nakia she's in Kenya, of all places. You wouldn't know it, but they have incredible technology over there. They have some incredible people bringing the blockchain to the masses out there, and they're making a big movement. They got a couple of she has a couple of companies that she's going to be talking about. And she gave us some education on what the do's and don'ts of on what you want to do in savannah. If you don't want to get eaten by a lion, follow her advice. We may be doing a show from Africa. I would love that. I've never been there. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Here is the chat I just had with a wonderful woman, Nakia. She's actually an American, but she's over in Africa right now, hanging out with the kids and bringing the education of blockchain to everyone out there. All right, this is the show. All right, you guys ready to start the show? All right, let's start the show. Josie. I'm sure you haven't heard this one before. Josie and Pussycats.
Of course I have. I remember the cartoon. Not to age myself, but I remember the cartoon.
You remember that? Okay, good. All right. Okay, cool, man. Where the heck are you today or tonight? Where is it, tonight or today for you?
So it's tonight. It's about 7:23.
Yeah.
And actually, so Josie is like my nickname. Josette is my middle name, but my first name is Nakia.
Nakia. Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Very cool.
It's about 7:30, and I'm in Nairobi, Kenya. I'm in beautiful Nairobi.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah, the weather's like 80 degrees. It's been so cold over the last like couple of months, but now
Really?
We're starting to warm up. Yeah, we had to do some sacrifices to the sun gods, but
some sacrifices.
Okay. Huh?
Some sacrifices.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Wow. Well, it's too bad that you don't have like a roaming camera. You could just kind of walk around outside and show us the beautiful landscape.
I would love to, but you know what? It's dark outside.
Is it?
So I'm on a private compound now, so we do have lights here, but it's kind of dark. So
is it? Okay. All right. Well.
I would be able to like take you on a tour of the city. So our next podcast talk, I would take you on a tour.
Oh, that would
be
awesome.
I think one of our, because now I'm already making a date with you. Do you see how that works out?
Yes.
So one of our next podcast talks, maybe I can take you to the site where we'll be building.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah, I'd love to see that. I think everyone would love to see that because I've never been to that continent before, so that would be really neat.
Beautiful content. Growing and leaps and bounds, crazy growth. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Gotta come and visit. I'll take you on safari.
I'd love to. You know, I see the the Discovery Channel stuff, and it makes me really want to come hang out with you guys over there.
It's nothing like seeing it in person. It's nothing like seeing the wildebeest cross.
Yeah.
Nothing like seeing the animals in their natural habitat in the savannah. It's lovely.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Well,
So,
that's
really
crazy because when you think of technology, the first thing that doesn't pop into your mind usually isn't Kenya. So, how do the two mix? Or am I just so behind the times? Am I just so old fashioned that I don't think that there's much technology over there? Is that what's going on?
It's a shame because I was just reading a young report about the same thing where the perception gap about what really is and the perception about Africa, there's such a disparity between the two. So Kenya, where I am right now, it has jumped leaps and bounds over the world, in fact, in mobile money, right? And being in something called M-Pesa that is housed in a tech company called Safaricom, is actually a mobile tech company called Safaricom. So it's leaps and bounds over the rest of the world in terms of mobile banking. And so now in the US, you have something called, Cash App. So everybody's excited about Cash App now. And I'm like, I've been in Kenya. I've been doing this for like 4 or 5 years.
Really?
And Kenya's been doing it probably another decade even before that. So while the rest of the world is lagging behind, Kenya is really kind of, they picked up the baton in terms of technology and the number of startups and the number of amazing, smart people that are in this country. It's just, it astounds me every day. So.
Wow. Well, I wonder why they're keeping it such a secret from us Americans over here. I mean,
No, I don't think so. I think really? Americans, sometimes we can be, insular.
Because there is no other country than the United States.
I mean, everyone from the World Bank to the African National Bank to, African Development Bank, and all kinds of reports about the UN, about M-Pesa, and about the infiltration of M-Pesa in society, and how people have tried to replicate it from India to Europe and now the United States. So it's really pretty well known in this space, but it's good to have. It's easy. I get in an Uber, or we have Uber here.
You have Uber? I get in Uber. Wow. Holy cow, you are civilized, aren't you?
Right. I get in an Uber or a Taxify or a little cab, one of the three. And I don't have to have cash on me. I can literally just pay through M-Pesa. I can pay
through your app.
Through M-Pesa. So it really works out well. It's super convenient.
Wow, that's awesome. So you've been over there for a while, right? You've been in Kenya for a while?
I've been in Kenya since January of 2014.
Wow.
So yeah, this January will make 5 years on the continent and in the country.
That's crazy. And where did you come from? You said you were from the East Coast?
Yeah. New Jersey. So I am a Cory Booker alum. So I used to work for Cory Booker in New Jersey for a couple of years, and had probably one of the best people to work for in my career. So so I'm originally from New Jersey. Okay.
Yeah, because you didn't sound like you had an African accent, a Kenyan accent over there. So
that's correct. People in Kenya say the same thing. Like we know you're not Kenyan.
Yeah, I was expecting an accent. I didn't hear it. Yeah.
No. American, and to be honest with you, there are a lot of Americans that are kind of jumping the Atlantic to the Indian Ocean to come to Africa because it's such great opportunity. The opportunity here is just quite amazing and remarkable, and the level at which you can kind of move into spaces, as long as you're knowledgeable and you're really willing to work hard. Yeah. I think the opportunity is there. And, one of the misnomers, right, is that, Americans or Europeans will come here and they have to have like little to no experience and they're able to do something. That is going away. Like Kenyans, Africans, Nigerians are not taking it. They are so smart, so hardworking that when you come into a space and you don't know what you're doing, they completely ice you out. Yeah. So, it's one of those things like you have to, if you come to the continent, you have to have some type of skill set in order to be successful, and some type of hustle and hard work.
As you should.
Yeah.
Yes, as you should. Yeah. We expect it over here. We don't always get it, but,
That's true.
We don't get the hustle and our hard work. So how did you end up moving from the East Coast to over there?
So I was working, and I was an elected official in
New Jersey.
In New Jersey, in the city of Newark.
Look at that.
Worked really hard, and then decided that I would go to grad school because I kind of wanted to do something different. So went to grad school, and after grad school, I was kind of like, all right, so what's next, right? Like, you have some of those times in your life or your career where you're like, what's next? And so what was next for me is, living abroad and finding opportunities abroad that would suit, where I wanted to go with my career. And it just so happened I did some time at grad school in China. And
China, wow.
Some friends in China. They then moved to Africa, or to Kenya, to work. And then after grad school, I talked to them and they invited me over, and I've been here ever since.
How great. And then you got involved with the tech space.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Politics to tech, right? But to be honest with you, so after college, I I had my own company. I ran a company, and I bought about 10 or 15 houses, rehabbed them, sold them. Some I rented out. And then after that, I went to work for Cory. And as part of working for him, I was also chair of the planning board for the city of Newark. So a lot of the growth that Newark is seeing right now. So there's Prudential Center, there are Whole Foods, Nike, beautiful, amazing buildings that are coming up in Newark. All of that was done while I was chair of the planning board and kind of directing the way that was done, and kind of approving some of these plans and denying many. So,
yes.
Yeah. And that was, and at the same time, I took some courses at NYU for real estate and architecture.
At NYU, very nice, very nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that probably gave you a nice jump start on what you're currently working on over there right now, right?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting.
So what are you doing there? What is your thing now? What do you do?
In all honesty, and when I tell you that there are opportunities here if you're willing to work hard, and there are tons of opportunities. So there are three things that I'm working on. The first one, and closest to my heart, well, actually they're all close to my heart. I can't even pick. But the first one, while I'm on the show, is about HouseAfrica. Right, there are about 1.3 billion people on the continent. There is a deficit of 200 million housing.
A deficit of 200 million housing.
A deficit of 200 million houses. And the continent is planning to grow leaps and bounds in the next 15 years. We're talking about half of the population will be of working age by 2030. So that's less than 20 years. So there's a lot of growth going on. There's a lot happening. So with HouseAfrica, we're looking to solve a couple of problems. One, I think the perception that we talked about earlier, right? This perception gap where
problems and solutions. I say that
where people have this perception about Africa, they don't know about it. It's a really kind of scary continent. And in fact, the interesting thing is that The Economist in 2011 reported it as I want to say the right words. Let me just look it up for a second. They reported it as like the continent that's like in desperate need or something like that. What was it? Hold on one second for me.
Okay, we're looking at the website right now. We're actually on the website showing that to everyone.
All right. So so in 2000, The Economist described Africa as the hopeless continent.
A hopeless continent.
Oh my. The hopeless continent in 2000.
Wow.
And now 2011, now they reported it as the continent on the rise. And productivity after colonization for many of the countries has grown by 2.7%. And while the rest of the world is going into recession, Africa, all throughout Africa, continues to grow. Now, there are some, let's not, minimize that there are some political instability in some countries. There are some economic instability in countries, right? Like Zimbabwe, in Namibia, and parts of the world, like of the continent. But most of the continent is growing in leaps and bounds. And I think the further that the continent moves away from colonialism, the stronger I think you'll see it again. And particularly as you see the population grow. And so with HouseAfrica, we really want to capitalize on the fact that this is going to be a growing growing population. Number one, the majority of the population by 2030 will move into middle to upper class. We also want to leverage on those statistics as well. And that's by providing really decent, affordable housing and higher income housing. And partnering with developers around the continent to make that happen. So, we're excited about where HouseAfrica is going to go because I'm going to lead it there. So we're really excited about that.
Wow. Okay. So, and are you, whenever people are sorry, let me get my thoughts together here. When you say developers, is it primarily, or is it only developers there in the continent, or are they bringing in other developers from other countries?
So okay. So let's break down developers. So one, we all of our developers for our blockchain, for our platform, for our MVP, they're all African. and brilliant and
Very
smart as
cool.
all get out.
Awesome.
And that's really hard to find because the lack of education around technology and the slow adaptation to education around blockchain on the continent.
Yes.
But that's changing as well, and we're going to talk about that in a second. So that's one developer. The other set of developers are developers that are in Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa that we're partnering with to help build housing that really makes sense, and that's quality housing that's on the blockchain, that's transparent, that people can have access to on the continent. Equally as important, we're talking about international players. We're talking about players that are interested in the continent, like China, Brazil, Turkey, and other countries that are really interested in what's going on in Africa and making some really significant investments. So we want to be able, as a platform, to have that type of housing where if an investor in Turkey is interested in a plot of land, he can go onto our platform, HouseAfrica. He could know that it's a trusted platform. It's on the blockchain. It's been verified 2-3 times over by people on the ground, by the government records, and by the owner himself, and then on the blockchain where it's immutable. And then they can go and look at the property, at all of the information on the property, and decide to buy sight unseen. And so that's where we hope to build this blockchain and really giving access not only to people on the continent, but people around the world.
Wow. So is it like in the United States, if you buy the land, you actually own it. The government still doesn't own it, kind of, but they actually own it.
Well, it really depends. So in a place like Kenya, where I am, you can own a property. There's a lease land hold for 99 years where you can own the property. Okay. In places like Nigeria and Ghana, mostly, you would have to probably either it's the same type of situation, or you would have to partner with another local to buy that property. Okay. But in most countries throughout the continent, it's leasehold type of arrangements.
Okay, got it. That's very cool.
99 years is a lot of time.
What's that?
99 years is a long time.
It is. We're all beyond that. It is. I'm going to look like a raisin in 99 years. I can't imagine.
Exactly. So that's one project, and I want to talk about that more.
Yeah.
The second project is that we're working with a university. It's called RAF University, and they're in fact in the process of changing their name to International University of Kenya. Oh. And we're working on building a blockchain school out of their ICT department. And so we're hoping to have that up and running by January of 2019.
Very nice.
The problem is that we have so many ICTs, ICOs. We have so many ICOs that come to the continent, particularly Kenya, Nigeria, and Ghana. And what they always say, what the heads, the CEOs, the CTOs, particularly the CTOs say, is that they can't find talent. So they have to go to places like Malaysia and Taiwan to find developers that are worth their weight in salt. We want to change that narrative. One, I don't believe that, right? I believe, because I know a bunch of talented developers in both Kenya and Nigeria and Zimbabwe and Ghana, just a bunch of them.
Yeah.
That are smart as all get out. But we want to increase those numbers, right? And we know that blockchain will be changing the landscape around technology over the next 10 or 15 years. And so partnering with this school is part of my own labor of love in making sure that Africans have access to the type of technology that and the type of education on blockchain that I think will help to change their own communities, the continent, and more than likely the rest of the world. And so just having that is important. And then the third project is another, it's called BitPaya. And it's a cryptocurrency platform, BITPAYA. And so we're looking to launch that in Kenya next year, probably the mid of next year. We want to get some of the other projects on our plate. So those are the three projects right now that I'm working on and that I'm really excited about.
Is that, you just say that was bitpay.com?
BitPaya. Let me just type it for you. Hold on one second.
Okay.
www.bitpaya.com.
Paya.com. Okay. We'll bring that up for the kids at home here. Mm-hmm. Is it coming up here? There we go.
There we go.
BitPaya. All right. And so this is your project too?
This is my project as well.
Wow.
So we are working. I mean, we are working, and certainly when we launch we would love to invite you once we launch the BitChain Institute here in Nairobi.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
we're really looking to make it significant. We would love to have you as a guest for when that's launched. So
that's crazy.
It's pretty exciting. Lots of exciting stuff.
Yeah, because you don't hear that much over here about the technology in Kenya or anywhere in the continent. But are you seeing a lot of? I mean, I myself, because I'm on LinkedIn all the time, I get a lot of requests from people from Ukraine or Russia that are brilliant in the blockchain technology space. Are you getting? Are they migrating over to your part of the world there?
Mm-hmm.
Are they? Are they teaching?
I was just going through both the company email and the LinkedIn page, and we get so many more solicitations than anything else.
Yeah.
For marketing partners or cryptocurrency trading partners and exchange. So we get more solicitations than anything else, and it's nice to get. It's nice to see what other companies are doing, particularly in block. But we just look at it and we kind of sort through and we pick out what makes sense for us and we follow up or we just don't. So, but we get lots of those. Yeah.
Are they over there teaching the kids how to work in the blockchain?
So there are a couple of hubs that are doing that, and again, Kenya is really unique. I think Kenya and places like Uganda are really unique, and South Africa. South Africa has been working on blockchain technology, I think, since 2015, 2016. They're actually trying to upgrade their banking system based on the blockchain. So, and I think they've been working really hard on that. So I think they're making some advancements. I know that just maybe about a week or two ago, maybe within this month, I could say, or within the last 2 months.
Yeah.
Rwanda has switched over to doing some of their banking on the blockchain. Zimbabwe, a lot of the people in Zimbabwe, because of the collapsed economy, are using Bitcoin as a way to trade and other types of cryptocurrency. Same thing in Nigeria is probably, there was a list that came out of like the highest exchange and use of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And I think out of 50 countries in there, I think Nigeria was like number 5 on the list.
Wow.
Nairobi, Kenya was like number 16 on that list. So the level or the amount of money moving with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency on the continent is pretty significant. Kenya in particular, one of the unique things about the country is that they are one of the first countries, aside from Mauritius, that's working on a regulation sandbox. So they have a blockchain task force and AI. So it's blockchain and AI task force that's coming out of the ICT. And so they're working on the blockchain and making sure that, the cryptocurrency space is protected. People who are building on top of the blockchain are within, regulation. So, that type of stuff is happening. Uganda just accepted Binance as one of their cryptocurrency partners. They had a huge, blockchain summit a couple of months ago that was actually really awesome. I think in March. And so the president spoke, and he was, I've never seen or heard a president of a country speak so highly and adapt blockchain the way that he did. He was articulate.
Yes.
He knew what he was talking about.
That's crazy.
It was a full adaptation of blockchain. Yeah, it was incredible. And so now Binance is there pretty heavily. So.
Wow. Yeah. To have a president of the country talk about blockchain.
Incredible. It was pretty incredible.
At a conference too, right?
At a conference. And I think what I really liked about it is that it wasn't kind of this artificial conversation about blockchain and the adoption of blockchain and technology because, someone was paying him or sponsoring the conference. He was actually able to put blockchain in context and say, here's what we're going to be using it for our land registry, for our banking, and here's what this looks like in application, and here's what we hope, here are the outcomes or the KPIs we're hoping to have out of this application. So that was really unique, and a really good experience to hear, a president of Uganda talk about this in a way that just makes so much sense that I've never heard any official at that level speak about. So it was exciting.
And this is something that, and this is the reason that I kind of got into it, was that I see a future for myself because of the technology that I probably wouldn't have seen. I'm a commercial photographer and a filmmaker by trade.
Oh, okay.
But, since the invent of the iPhone, I see my sales or my services being almost cut into 16ths because of everyone's now a photographer. They get an iPhone, now you're a photographer. And in fact, I was just reading an article this morning about how that Nikon and Canon are now developing mirrorless cameras, but to try to save the market for real photographers. But it's horrible because it's great because you get an iPhone and it's great. But photography, whatever. But then the skill of the photographer is being diminished because the camera's doing all the work now, and not the photographer. But my point is that now the technology, this is giving people that would have never had a chance to be financially secure in the United States or other countries, but now it sounds like that this country is really adapting to it and embracing it, so that there's going to be so many more people in Africa that are going to can have a real future, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And part of educating developers, so going back to the institute that we're working on, part of that is not only training developers, but training people that are able to kind of sell blockchain or sell a particular company. So, and project manage, right? Because you'll have one stream of people and then you'll be over flooded, but you need a whole kind of ecosystem of people that understand blockchain and that can project manage, to sell it, to develop it. So that's the exciting thing. And I think, again, going back to HouseAfrica, the unique thing about HouseAfrica is that there is opportunity for, young Africans to gain access to housing, and to partner with other investors around the world, and maybe buying housing or plots of lands or apartment buildings for themselves. So there is opportunity, and I think the blockchain is really a gateway for a lot of people to live comfortably.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And
so it's exciting.
It is. It's so exciting that now there's a real future, and if there is a lack of talent out there for developers, mm-hmm. and to be able to give the education to the kids out there, they become part of this gigantic task force that is going to be changing the world landscape.
And listen, as HouseAfrica grows, we're going to need some of those developers, so we better train them now.
Yes,
yes. As HouseAfrica grows, we will need those developers in helping us to process, and develop, much more sophisticated smart contracts, which we use or will be using for clients who are looking to, purchase houses or lease housing. And we're also, do our KYC and IAML. I mean, all of that stuff is really important to have smart blockchain developers that understand the process and that are able to kind of write code around that. So I do want to talk about HouseAfrica a bit more.
Yes.
I think I'm missing a couple of pieces there, James. Sure. Right. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. So I think with the advent of, something like M-Pesa, the whole, I think Africa in general is becoming much more sophisticated. And I do want to reiterate kind of the further away that Africa and countries in Africa and the continent move away from colonialism, I think the stronger economically they will become.
Just
And
real quick,
that's again was pushing them into the middle and upper class in the next 15 to 20 years. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, I was going to say, for people who don't really understand, and I'm sure that not a lot of Americans know this, what does colonialism mean?
Oh boy! Now you're bringing out my political science degree. So colonialism, I think, in the simplest terms, is the taking over of property without asking.
Just
taking over property, the taking over of bodies, of Black bodies, the taking over of human resources, the taking over of natural resources without asking. It's stealing. Yeah. So to me, colonialism is synonymous with stealing. And so when you look at places like South Africa, where apartheid, although legally it has been eradicated, in practice, in many ways, it has not. You still have the largest percentage of population that are Africans, that are South Africans, that are living in poverty, while the smallest percentage of population in South Africa who are white, Dutch or Belgium, are living in these really beautiful, prestigious homes. So, the disparity is still there. When you look at, and Zimbabwe, the same thing. While it's in a collapse, I think that we'll see a different Zimbabwe in the next 20 years. I don't think that what we see now is what we'll see in 20. Kenya, the same thing. Kenya has only been independent for a little bit more than 50 years, and I think that they're still going through some growing pains. But considering the depth at which colonialism, the stealing of land, the stealing of labor, of resources, the depth at which that happened, I think the further that the continent moves away from that and the countries move away from that, I think the better off that they'll be.
Yes.
Because they'll be able to be in better control. If they stop selling everything to China, then they'll be fine.
I get that one. Yes, I completely understand that part.
That part drives me. That part really, really does drive me crazy. But
yeah, well, it's happening over here. Orange County, just being sold off left and right.
Miami, Florida. Oh my goodness, crazy. Yeah, left and right.
It is. Yeah. And more power to the people that can afford to buy that kind of stuff. But it starts weeding out everyone else who grew up in and around that area. They get pushed out and pushed out and pushed out and pushed out to to point where you can't afford to live there anymore. So
yeah, and so I just was reading this. I think it was in the New York Times. I can't remember the publication, but I was reading where China and Russia and one other country are now moving to use oil to back their currency instead of gold.
Really?
Yeah. So now they're forcing the Middle East to kind of join this block. Angola in Africa has already joined the block. But yeah, I can't remember where this article. I need to look it up and send you the link later on. But I was like, oh, that makes total sense. That makes total sense, because that's kind of, I think, when China, one of their leaders, I think about 30 years ago, spoke about, and I can't remember the leader's name either, but he talked about the regression of China and moving China into the world power. It was creating their own type of currency and the backing for that currency. So, yeah. So they're moving along, and when we look at cryptocurrency, even though I think China outwardly does not support cryptocurrency, you have a company like Binance, one of the biggest cryptocurrency companies in the world. While they're not registered in China, they're still very much a Chinese company.
Yeah, I get it.
I don't know. Anyway,
okay.
We'll see what happens. I mean, I think it'll be a different world in the next 20, 25 years. I think we'll see a very different world globally than we do now.
Absolutely, yeah. More freedom and more technology and better economies.
You think more autonomy,
I
or
think
you think
better
you
economy.
think? Interesting.
Yeah, I think.
I
I
don't
think
know.
when
I think while technology is allowing everyone to speak globally and to connect and making everyone's world smaller.
yeah.
I think when you look at what was the law in Europe, I think it was the GDPR or something like that, but it was the law kind of limiting the way that people interacted on social media and the internet and things like that. So I think, when you start to see really restrictive laws like that, it does. Let me just look this up really quickly so I can get it right, so I can sound at least. Let's see. I think it's GDRP law. Let's see. I think it's that. It's the GDPR.
GDPR. Okay.
Yeah, the GDPR. So it's a group of law data, general data protection regulation. That's what it is. So it's an EU regulation around how data is protected, how people kind of interact or don't interact on the internet. And I think for some people it works really well because, now your data is protected. You have to know when someone's kind of, mining your data. But the other side of that is that some tech experts are saying that it's kind of a slippery slope to kind of be much more strict on how people, interact or don't interact on the internet. And so, and then the downside of that is that people will kind of go deeper into the dark web. So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we'll see about that. So yeah.
Okay. So we were going to go back to some more stuff here on
HouseAfrica.
HouseAfrica.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have for HouseAfrica there is we have a HAF token, HAF. HAF token, and that token is really it's good for many things. One, a renter who is renting a property from the platform can use the HAF token to pay for their rent, to pay their utilities, to pay a number of different things. The same thing with an international investor. If he or she or a company saw a piece of property or a number of properties that they liked, they could use the HEF token and buy a property in Kenya, South Africa, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, or whatever. And because the continent is not monolithic and there's so many different currencies, the HEF token will now take that and change it into the currency of that particular country. So it really does kind of, unify the way that, not unify, but it simplifies the way in which people can invest or purchase houses. So that's why. So I didn't know I don't know if you were going to ask me the question, but the use of our token is for that, for being able, so realtors can put, or property owners they can pay to put their information on the platform.
Okay.
And then lease, or the people who are renting the houses can pay their utilities. And then also, international investors are able to use that same token no matter where they are. It's the same currency. They can just use that token and not have to worry about the conversion rates from one country to the next.
Oh, yeah.
And just buy, and buy that token. And so one of the reasons that the transparency piece is so important. So on the HouseAfrica platform, one of the things that's really important to us is transparency, and using the blockchain for that. So, for instance, one of the many problems with the real estate market in Africa is that someone will come up to you, Dean, and say, "Hey, this is a great piece of property. Do you want to buy it?" And you say yes, and you kind of, go through all of the motions, but because you don't know, you give this person a down payment. And then when you go to move into the property, you find out the property never belonged to them. So now you've just been hacked.
I hear that a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
Now you just been hacked, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you can, so what we do to solve that is three ways. One, we have people on the ground that are able to now go, part of our team, that are able to go and now verify that this property is where it says it is not just a bunch of boxes built into a house, and it actually is a house.
Yeah.
It actually is an office building. It actually is, a mine or a landfill, whatever it is. It actually is what that owner says it is. And then we'll be able to go to records and check and double check and verify that this person actually says that that this property is theirs, and,
now,
how do you kind of verify? Mm-hmm.
How do you verify if that person is actually who they say they are to begin with?
So again, we go to so there are a couple of ways. So one, we're able to go to the Hall of Records in some countries, the land registry in other countries, and be able to verify that that person is who they say they are.
Okay.
A lot of places, particularly where land is available, we're able to kind of go and talk to the people that are in that community as well to verify that information, whether it's the chief, whether it's the clerk at the office. So there are a number of ways in different parts of the continent that you can verify that someone is who they say they are.
Yeah.
And so we're looking to start in Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa, and right, so that we can do our test and really kind of work out the bugs. But yeah, we'll be able to identify that through a variety of things. So that's asking questions, getting identification, then going to the land registry, making sure that their birth certificate matches, making sure that all of that information. So one of the bigger questions for us is, and has been, if that particular land registry has that information wrong. Now, how do we verify that? How do we reconcile that?
Yeah.
And I think for us, one of our major resolutions to that, and it's probably not the end-all resolution, but one of our resolutions is we can't verify for absolute sure that this person is who they say they are, and they own this property the way that they say that they own it. If we can't verify it and we can't double and triple check, then it won't go onto our platform. That's
beautiful.
Just there's no other way around that. So we need to be able to verify this information, make sure that we have all of our I's dotted, our T's crossed. We verify it within the community. We verify it with that particular person or company. We verify it with the local government. And if one of those three things even seems slightly fishy, we will not put it on a platform. And that I can promise you. Beautiful. We will not play any games with that, with anyone's information, with anyone's money, because we know how important that is. So,
absolutely.
So I mean, we're really looking to kind of change the game in the way that, and then the way that real estate is done in the country.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. On the country.
Are you part of a movement that's going to help local governments develop on the blockchain, so that like the Hall of Records would be on the blockchain, so we can start verifying the stuff up very easily instead of having to actually go through and look at records?
Yeah, I know that there are a couple of countries that are doing that now. Well, I'm not part of that movement, but we hope to in the future partner with those type of companies. Like, we want to be good at being able to give access to housing and being able, we want to really be good at having or giving access to housing to people that live on the continent and to investors globally. And we really want to be good at, making sure that it's transparent. So we can't be good at everything, but we hope to partner. There's a company that I know about, called Bitland. We've spoken to them before. It seems to be a smart company, and I think they're working in Uganda to help to put the land on registry. And then there are a couple of other countries throughout the continent that are looking to do the same thing. So let's see here. Bitland. Is looking in Ghana. It's actually not Uganda, it's Ghana. So Bitland is looking in Ghana to help the registry. And I think Rwanda is kind of looking at the same thing. Kenya is looking at putting their land on registry, and perhaps the next election on the blockchain.
That makes total sense, doesn't it?
I think so,
Yeah.
especially because all of the stuff that happens during elections.
Yes. People.
So that may not be
Yeah.
in it all a bad thing. I
Yes.
would stand behind that, particularly if it's a company that or a blockchain company that's a trusted blockchain company and not one that we can even slightly question. So I would totally be behind that.
Yeah, it seems like some of those the guys over there that aren't on the up and up. They may feel a little threatened by the blockchain, knowing that their skirt's going to be lifted up and everything's going to be shown to the world.
Yeah, and yeah, this is true, and I think the same thing around the world.
Yeah.
Is for different reasons, whether it's elections, whether it's the pink system, whether it's education. I think that, people who are looking to kind of cheat the system in some way, whatever system it is,
Yeah.
they should be very nervous about the blockchain application and bringing transparency.
That's
and I
right.
think, and let me move to the other side of this, but I think, even blockchain itself is having its own issues with transparency and who to trust in communities and things like that. So I think that's something that as the technology grows and as the community goes, I think it'll self-resolve. But I think that's an issue that some people are dealing with. So yeah.
All right, get it. Okay, so your tokens. I look on the roadmap here, and it looks like we're just a little bit past
we actually have to update
August.
this roadmap. This roadmap is not. Let's see. Yeah, we actually have to update this. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just going to say something about how the roadmap. We're now in the August part with the close to the token presale, or are you already in that?
Yeah. So we canceled the token presale. There were a couple of pieces with our MVP that we really wanted to work on and get right, and a couple of partners we were looking at as well. So we postponed it for a little bit until we can kind of, get our MVP to a place where I feel satisfied with it. And I think that, we can show it to investors and we can show it to our community.
Yeah.
We have a demo out, but I would like it to be a bit stronger than that.
Okay. I get it. And where else are you, what else do you have your fingers in at this moment?
So aside from that, this is taking up 70% of my time, right? Because
the HouseAfrica.
Yeah, it's taking up 70% of my time. And I think, right now we're on Waves, and hopefully someone from Waves was listening to this, but we're on Waves, but we're actually looking we're looking at other companies that are much more friendly to our needs, and to kind of making sure that things move quickly on our platform.
Okay.
And so we're kind of shopping around to migrate to some blockchain companies that work better for us and better for the continent.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
Okay.
Yeah. So so we're looking at that. That's number one on our list. Number two on our list is raising money, because we want to get to finish the rest of our MVP. We want to do a bit more marketing. And so we need a bit more funding, because we've been doing a lot of self-funding and we've gotten incredibly far. So we just need to kind of get over that bridge. And then with our first set of funding, we hope to do that and possibly, build our first house, our first couple of houses with the funding, because housing here is not incredibly expensive, but it can be incredibly beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking to do. So that's, in terms of HouseAfrica, that's where we are. And then in terms of the Blockchain Institute for the university, it's called RAF University, but it's again changing to the International University of Kenya.
Okay.
So we're looking to kind of have that up and going in Nairobi, probably first quarter of 2019, and have our first cohort go through the entire program, including the incubator and the workspace, so that the first cohort should take anywhere between 12 to 18 months. We're still working out the curriculum piece and how everything else works.
Wow.
And then with BitPaya, we're looking to really kind of go hard on that. We want to make sure that we have success, complete success with HouseAfrica. And then BitPaya, it's already up and working in Nigeria, but we hope to have that working in places like Kenya, South Africa, and perhaps if Zimbabwe can ever get their hands from around our neck in Zimbabwe in the next 6 months. So
yeah,
I mean that's where we are.
Okay.
That is where we are. And you know, Dean, I just wish that, you know, people would look at Africa for the growth,
yes,
and the potential, and where it's going to go. So I think the World Bank reported that Africa will be the richest continent by 2050.
Really?
It'll have yeah, and then Ernst & Young, in a recent report about Africa, reported that Africa will have 40% of the world's population. So
40%.
1 out of every 4 people will be African from the continent.
Oh my God.
So,
wow.
You know, you got to hedge your bets, man. You gotta look at the numbers, man, and hedge your bets, and you know, and make some smart moves and make them soon enough, right? You don't want to get it at where everybody else is in. You kind of want to be smart about things and kind of make, you know, calculated risk, I would say.
Yeah.
But take those risks, and Africa's not a scary place. It's quite amazing, actually, from the savannas to its hubs of technology. So yeah, I mean, it's an exciting. I sound like a tour guide, don't I?
You kind of do. Yeah.
I should be like the Ministry of Tourism.
Yeah.
But it's quite an amazing continent to be on, a dynamic and just full of energy and spirit. And
all right,
you know, so when you work with people, the team that I have 2 co-founders named Uba and Ikopo, and these guys, Dean, they work like 24/7. So I can, you know, text them something if I wake up with inspiration. I'll text them at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're working on this, and that platform." Like,
oh
these
wow,
guys, the team does not sleep. It's quite incredible. And so I'm really lucky to kind of land in from politics, from real estate to politics to communications to blockchain. So that is kind of the hopscotch of you know, sometimes your career takes.
Yeah. So we're on back on the website here, and I see your CTO. How do you pronounce his name?
Our CTO, his name is Ikopo Nevrate.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll never be able to pronounce that, but you made it sound really easy.
Yeah.
And then Uba, right? Uba, he's the lead blockchain developer.
He is incredible.
Yeah.
He's incredible. Yeah.
Where do these guys get their education? Where are they getting their education from?
They all went to school in Nigeria.
All went to school in Nigeria?
All of them went to school in Nigeria.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
Because you would never think that that kind of technology is being taught Nigeria. Crazy.
Yeah, it's listen, let me be honest with you. Nigerians come to America and they beat Americans 3-1 in terms of education. They're the highest educated immigrants, right? Or migrants, I should say. They're the highest educated. They're some of the most successful immigrants, even over China or Chinese that migrate there. Yeah, they're like the highest, like, educated, most successful immigrants, and that number will continue to increase. They even project that, you know, as Nigerians start to migrate between Europe and America, that their success rates will start to increase, particularly among first generation Nigerians. So, you know, as bad of a rap, and I hear some of my counterparts talk about Nigerians and, you know, this whole thing about, you know, them being thieves. I think, you know, it's the same narrative that we hear about Africa being a dark continent. It's bull. It's bull. Yeah. I mean, you have some people that might try to cheat the system, or that are, you know, the Nigerian princes. But
Yeah.
for the majority of Nigerians, they work their butt off. They're hard workers and they're smart as all get out. So, and that goes for Ghanaians, that goes for Kenyans, that goes for, you know, people across the continent. So this whole narrative, the disparity between, you know, this really negative dark continent narrative and the truth, there's such a huge gap in that information. And living on the continent and being able to contrast between my experience working in politics, working in communities in the United States and in a place like Newark, New Jersey, versus, you know, having my experience here. You know, people work hard.
Yeah.
They really work hard and they're smart and they will figure it out. They will figure it out. And so that's really been encouraging to me. So, yeah. Okay. So listen,
yes.
Dean.
Yes, ma'am.
Completely off subject.
Okay, go ahead.
What book are you reading right now? Which books are you reading?
Oh man, does National Geographic count?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yes. It
does. You know, I do read a lot of online. I tend not to buy books anymore. You know, I'll read stuff on directing. I read stuff on still on filmmaking. On who's your favorite, I guess, producer or like filmmaker? Who's your favorite? Man, I guess like Scorsese and the guys like that. That, you know, I like how deep,
right? Like they get the filmmaking, they get the blood and gore, they get like the irony.
Yeah, you know, and I like that the depth that they go to of characters. They're not thin characters. They're not they have more depth to them than they actually really need, but that helps the story and it helps the believability of whenever you're watching that character on screen, and then they get the cream of the crop of actors too, whether they're known or not known. It seems like they really get those actors. But the directing part of it is the more of the science that I have been trying to understand, and it's not just about directing the scene and not about just making the movie move along, but you're actually you're having a more of a conversation with an actor to get them more comfortable with you as a director, to get them to give you the performance that you're looking for. And it's not, like I said, it's not just grabbing a camera and running out and telling somebody to do something. It's more of the connection that you have with that actor, and the more they trust you, the more that they're going to give.
You know what, Dean? It sounds like you have a movie in you. Sounds like you have a movie in you.
Do I?
You just got to push through.
All right.
Know that you can do it.
Well, you know what?
But it sounds like, listen, come to a place like Africa and do a documentary on, you know, technology throughout the continent.
I would love to, you know, because my passion is documentary making. Because my last one I did was on road racing. And you can find that on Amazon Prime. It's called Racing Through the Forest.
Send that to me so I can take a peek at it.
Yeah, Racing Through the Forest.
Like, this is horrible. No. I'm sorry, I wouldn't do that.
I know. Well, if you're awake,
I can take a peek at it and see.
Yeah, well, please do.
I would love to.
It's like I said, Racing Through the Forest on Amazon Prime. It's one place you can find it. But there's that, and then a friend of mine, Courtney Hanson and Troy Ladd, are now working on a TV show, which it's all in the car world. But they're Troy Ladd is a up and coming. Well, not up and coming. But he's been doing this for a few years. But he's a very influential hot rod recreator. He'll take these old hot rods and just recreate them into just works of art. So it's called Royal Garage. It'll be on the History Channel later on this year, February or March, I think. Or I'm sorry, November, December, I think. Royal Garage, ROYL. But I did have a kids film school that I wanted to get more of the kids involved in filmmaking, and the sad thing about it is over here is whenever they're so close to L.A. and Hollywood where the majority of films are still made, but the education that they're getting in high school isn't it's not up to par, I think, with what they're expecting whenever they get out of high school, going to film school. It's just a waste of time for them, really, to do this stuff because they're not really getting hands-on experience with a real film camera. They're not getting hands-on experience with the equipment. They're not able to learn from somebody the ins and outs of directing, of what a film actually is. But I mean, I've gone to some of these high school film festivals, and what these kids are doing without education is crazy. Some of them are just, they're brilliant, and I think it's just a gift that they have already. It's not because they got a great education in school. I think it's their own creativity.
You probably spend hours.
That's what I tell my daughter, because my daughter wants to be a filmmaker, and not because of me, because of other people. It has nothing to do with me. It's amazing. So she wants to be a filmmaker. Her school over here in Irvine wasn't they had a filmmaking class, but all it was more a broadcast on how to be a news anchor or interviewing kids at the school, and she didn't want to do that. She actually wants to go and make a movie with a script and actors. And so I came up with a kids film school, a 1 month long kids film school. So I think that would be fun to take to somewhere like where you are, and have the kids actually learn how to make movies and see what their creativity and their imagination, what they could do with that.
And you'll be surprised with a school like that, or even just like a 1 month, course. You'll be surprised at what you come up with, and like the different perspectives and the maturity of perspective. You'll be surprised.
I'd love to see
There's a lot for you to do. It sounds like Africa is calling you, Dean.
Oh man, I just need a sponsor and I'll get out there. I will be there, man.
We gotta find you a sponsor. Any sponsors out there? Come on, get Dean over to Africa.
Let's get Dean to Africa. And is there a scary process to go through? Because I know that there's like shots and because I've never been over there. So what's the process of being a plain old American like me and then getting to Africa?
It's not a process at all. Listen, you can get no matter where you go, you have an American passport, right?
Yes.
So it gives you carte blanche to kind of go into almost anywhere in the world.
Wow.
But places like Kenya, Nigeria, you get a visa, right? You can get a visa as soon as you land. And in terms of shots, the most important shot that you get is a yellow fever shot.
Yellow fever.
So everything else, I mean, you can get the shot, you can get the Hep A, Hep B, you can get the tetanus shot. That's if you haven't had it. But most of us have those shots, or we're already equipped for that stuff. So, I mean, unless you really want to, I made the mistake of getting like every last single shot that I think it was is it like a US website where like the health website or whatever, but I made a mistake of getting like every last, and I didn't need it, but I made a mistake of getting, and I was like sick for days.
I can't imagine.
So I would not recommend that. I mean, you can just do most important. In fact, I think I have it right here. Hold on one second.
How's malaria over there? How's that going?
It depends on what part of the continent you're in, but in Nairobi, malaria is not an issue. But if you go to places like Tanzania, it may be more of an issue.
Because it's more of a jungle type area.
And where?
Is it more of a jungle type area in those parts?
No. It's just hotter,
Okay.
And so Nairobi in particular has a pretty high elevation, as opposed to like Tanzania or Nigeria or other places like that. So, when you go into some of the more tropical places, and it is very little jungle left, by the way, because people are chopping it down as the continent and people start to expand. There's more savanna, in fact, than there is continent.
Is that where you find like the wild animals?
Yeah,
like...
you find the animals in the savanna, right? The low grasses throughout the continent, and like maybe like a place like Rwanda, you can go like gorilla trekking, and that's more kind of forest or jungle setting.
Yeah.
Feel really controlled. But listen, without giving my information away, but all you need is something like this. Like this is, I keep this in my my passport thing, but this is just a young card. And so all you have to do is like I went crazy, man. I went crazy, and I got all of my I just gave away all my information.
I don't see it. Keep it down. There you go.
you get so I think back a while ago I got the yellow fever. So I told you I went crazy. I got yellow fever, polio, typhoid, hep A, hep B, flu, tetanus.
Oh my God.
And I didn't need all of that. And I was just sick for days.
Were you?
Sick for days. Yeah. But you don't need all.
All right, because I'm deathly afraid of needles. So.
Yeah, you can get the yellow fever. And so you need that. And you might need the hep A.
Yeah. All right.
Best. But aside from that, and then you can go back and forth. But that really is it. But the first time I came here, I went completely overboard.
Oh.
And it was pricey too. So it's easy. It's not difficult. I think even that's changing. Maybe the flight. So Kenya, right now, the flight you have a layover like Abu Dhabi or Germany or London or something like that. So the flight can be anywhere between 18 to 30 hours, depending on what kind of route.
Oh my gosh!
But now, there are going to be direct flights by Kenya Airways in October. So I think that'll only be like 16 hours, and the ticket is only about $780.
Wow!
Yeah, crazy, right?
Wow! All right.
So let me tell you the books that I'm reading. So it was a segue.
I know. You're like, oh, you silly little man, you don't read real books.
So the book that I'm digging on right now is one by a Nigerian author called Tommy Adeyemi, and it's called Children of Blood and Bones. It's like a fictional book. The book is so well written. It's so imaginative. It's about the only way that I can think about it is like Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter in a Nigerian African setting.
Really?
With all of the folklore of Africa, with all of the the folklore more specifically of Nigeria.
Yeah.
It is really a good book.
Wow.
Second book I'm reading. So I'm vacillating between three books. I've finished Children of Blood and Bones, but I'm reading Blue Ocean Strategy by Chan Kim, which is where's this book? Oh goodness, I've been bookmarking
Blue
this book.
Ocean Strategy. Are these all fiction, or is this a education?
No, this is, so you'll see the next book. So this one is strategy.
Strategy.
So
okay.
Yeah, so the first one is fiction. The Blue Ocean Strategy is like just kind of giving pointers, the difference between red ocean strategy, blue ocean strategy. I'm finding very helpful because it talks about niches and Belly and Barnes and Belly Circus versus Circus Olay.
Okay.
And kind of Circus Olay did very different than, and so they didn't fight for the same type of audience that the traditional circuses. They went for the adult circus, and so they were able to kind of triple their revenue in just a matter of like 9 or 10 years. So it gives all of these case studies about that.
Okay.
And then the third book that I'm reading is Fire and Fury by Michael Wolff. That's the story about the inside the Trump White House.
Oh, okay. Wow. How's it going?
3 different books, yeah. So I'm reading and I've been kind of trying to get through it, and he's the president of the United States, and that's just it. You know what I mean?
I know.
So just trying to get through it and read a little bit, but it seems like a little bit more gossip than it does actual fact. So it's kind of it's dragging. I'm dragging along and I'm reading like 4 or 5 pages at a time. So
I don't think we need a book on that. I mean, I think that there's enough gossip right now happening that we don't need to read a book.
Oh my God, what is going on every day? And so I think the thing about being here is that, you know, I read the news, right? And I try to read a little bit of everything so that I have a full perspective and not just kind of one perspective.
Yeah.
But the thing that I miss is the nuance of, you know, being there and seeing reactions on people's faces and how people react to certain situations. So I miss the nuances of being in the United States. But like there's something new all the time. I had family members, some voted for Hillary Clinton, others voted for Trump. So so that's just part of democracy, right? You're able to choose and pick and you know, freedom of speech and freedom of media.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes.
Right.
You know, it's like, you know, it's like when people voted for Trump, I think it was more of like, let's try this flavor out for a while. Let's see what happens. You know.
I think so. I think, you know, I
let's just see what happens.
Perhaps I don't know about the experiment. But you know,
the biggest U.S. experiment in history.
It's a pretty big experiment. So
I know.
You know, we'll see what happens. I mean,
I still have my fingers crossed. I'm like, come on, do something.
Yeah, do something significant for everyone, where everyone can feel it.
Yeah, I mean,
I think, you know, he's great at what he does, and he speaks to a base that is able to connect with him in a way. You know, listen, you can't say that everyone that voted for him are people that are not smart or dumb or whatever. You just can't say that, right?
Yeah.
Like that's part of a democracy. That's part of letting the democracy work. You know, but there are questions when you continue to support someone who, you know, has said derogatory things.
Yeah, if you just blindly you keep following him, then
those become bigger, you know, issues about morality and bigger issues about, you know, being a leader and being a leader for everyone. Yeah. But I think, you know, listen, he's the president of the United States at the end of the day, and for good, bad, or indifferent, he's leading the country, and he's making decisions, and you know, and we'll see what happens in the next 2 years, you know, because I think he'll be president, at least for the next, you know, maybe couple of months, I think, or even for the next 2 years of his term.
Yeah.
We'll just see what happens, you know, with the United States. I think my biggest worry is, you know, more globally, right? The question for me becomes a more global question. Like, where does America stand globally? Where will America stand globally? Can America continue to be trusted as a ally to places like, you know, the UK and Canada? Can they continue to do that? Will it continue to be a superpower? So those are the type of questions that I have, and those are I think we'll see the results of this experiment in the next decade or so.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. You know,
he's the president of the United States, and that is, you know, I live in Kenya, so but he's the president of the United States.
Yeah,
so that's all I have to say about that.
Just willy-nilly, yeah.
Yeah. What blockchain companies are you a part of?
Well,
like are you part of any blockchain companies?
Well, I am not quite a company, but there's an outfit called ICO Max, where it's more of an airdrop type thing for conferences, and so they put me on their board of the media as a media advisor. I talk to a lot of companies. There's a cat named Matt Ginyard that was working with a company called B Charity Token, and then he left that as they were doing things that he didn't want to be part of anymore, and he wanted to go something. So he's staying in the charity world with cryptocurrency, and he's also a big advocate for charities. But he's great at what he does. I haven't really been involved with any of the companies. I try not to get too close to any, because I want to stay kind of neutral for everyone. I want to give everyone that wants to come on here and give them a platform to talk about what they want to talk about, and I don't allow people to bash any of these companies. If they don't like them, then don't like them, but don't take it out on my show. I'm just giving people the opportunity to talk. And because I was taken advantage of in the beginning with some of the companies that I wanted to, just like everyone, when they heard the word ICO, they wanted to jump on, they wanted to buy part of it, and there wasn't enough legitimate, I would say legitimate YouTube shows or iTunes shows that I could listen to that I actually got real education from. Other than there was the Bad Crypto podcast. I like those guys. And there was a couple more. A guy named Matt. I forget his last name now. He doesn't kill me, but he does the podcast for Bitcoin.com, and really cool guy. And had him on my show. But I wanted to give the opportunity to people to come onto my show and talk about real things, and not trying to pump or any kind of token, not trying to make people buy a token because I think that it's a good token. I think if I think it's a good token, I'm going to keep it to myself, and I'm going to be like, oh, I'll go buy that on my own. But I'm not going to tell people to go buy it, And I don't think that's right, because I got taken advantage of like that when I was new to the space. I took it.
What happened?
There was these guys on this YouTube show, and they'd never show their face, but they would sit there and they would have screens up about, showing the charts and everything. And because I didn't have any education in this, it was really new to me. It was like December, October, November, December, and I had bought a little bit of Bitcoin, and then I made a little bit of money on that, and I sold it, and I bought some Ripple XRP, and tripled my money in a matter of just a couple of days. And I was like, wow, this is easy. Anything that says ICO, I'm going to buy. And so that's what I started doing, and that's when I lost all my money, was just listening to these guys going, oh, well, you guys do what you want to do, but I'm going to put 100,000 of my dollars into this, and I'm going to see where it goes. So it sounded like, hey, this is a smart move because this guy makes a lot of money. And all they were doing was pumping and dumping. They were getting these people to buy coins that were, you'd catch the tail end of it, and as soon as you bought it, they saw enough people buying it, they were dumping it, and then you lost all your money. So I won't do that. And
is horrible.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the problems with kind of blockchain, and while we want it to be decentralized, things like that happen, where people pump and dump, and that's horrible.
It is.
I'm sorry.
And that's why I started this show. It's like, hey, don't.
You should find them.
Yeah.
You should find. Yeah.
And I've called them out a few times on my show. I'm like, hey, you guys have done some really crappy things. I've lost a lot of money because of you guys. And they always go, oh, well, we're not financial advisors. We're not telling you what to do, but this is what we're going to do. And they're still telling people what to do, whether you say that or not. So
that's still advising to some extent, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
and
I was watching your podcast. There was one guy who seemed super knowledgeable.
Bo Ploney?
Was it Bo? No, I don't know. He was a guy. So there are two people that I really liked. He was a guy that talked about kind of regulations and was saying that he worked, a lot about the FCC and the difference between security tokens.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's Christian Kamir from Sustaining Capital. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good buddy. He's just right down the road from me here in Newport Beach. Yeah. And
I listened to him. I was like, wow. I mean, this guy, he sounded, really he's passionate about what he was doing. Very smart guy.
And they take on, it's a capital company, and they take on ICOs here and there, but they only take on like 4 a year, because 99% of the people that come to them are scams, or there's no point in having them on the blockchain, or there's no point in tokenizing whatever that they want to tokenize. They're like, no, there's no reason for this. I'm not going to advise people to do it, and we're not going to be part of it.
Yeah, well, that's smart. I mean, that's really being deliberate.
And he's very smart too. When they teach a lot. You know, we're doing like our education series with him, and the first thing we
Is
did
this the
was
same guy, the one who's like he was saying how he's
German
the
guy?
foremost like expert on like blockchain law or something like that?
Oh, was that was John Gotts?
John Gotts. Yes,
Yeah.
that's who it is. Because I was like John Gotti, right? And so John Gotts, that's exactly
John Gotts. I'm not sure where to put that cat.
Okay.
Because he's kind
Fair
of
enough.
gone under the radar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it kind of went under the radar. I don't know what happened to him. I'm not going to say anything good or bad about him. He had him on my show. I gave him the opportunity to talk. I got a lot of hate mail, not directed at me, but at him. So, and he kind of incriminated himself on my show, was saying a few things, and I'm like, "You sure you want to say
saw
that?"
And I was just like, well, this is really, I found him to be interesting.
Yeah, because he called out, he called out a couple people on my show that also went dark. So I don't know where to put those cats.
Oh boy.
I don't know.
Well, let's not mention him because we don't plan on going dark. So,
good. All right.
Let's cut that piece out. Let's rewind and cut that piece out.
Yeah.
The other person that I really liked was there's a young lady that you had on your show a couple of times.
Oh, Jillian Ginyard.
Jillian, yeah.
Jillian Godsill. Yeah, Jillian Godsill. Yeah.
Yeah.
From Scott from.
I'd love to meet her and talk to her.
Ireland.
Man. She just so much energy, so much fun.
Oh man, you got to read her story. You got to my first show that I did with her. You got to read her story. It's a
okay. What's so incredible about her story?
Well, she went from a normal housewife to practically homeless to a lawmaker.
Wow.
Yeah. So she's and one of the 50 most influential women in blockchain right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you'll see me on that list in the next year. Or so.
I'm sure I will. I have no doubt.
I promise you will see me on that list.
What she's being
with the work that we're planning.
Yeah. She's being, carted all over the world to speak at all these conferences and, being sponsored by those.
She was really dynamic. I really enjoyed listening. I listened to two of them.
Yeah.
And she's so full of energy. And
she
so
is.
much fun.
She's like a little ball of.
I really enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah.
And the work that she's doing, I think she's like now CEO of a company or something, of a ICO.
I think she's on many boards.
I think I read that she's like CEO or something.
She might COO or something. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know. I just know that she's got her fingers in a lot of companies and advising a lot of companies and speaking for a lot of companies.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So I really enjoyed her. And then you were talking about doing a show for women in blockchain.
Yes.
So few of them.
Yeah. There was a lady. It's actually here in Laguna Beach. A new Bardwaj. Yeah, a new Bardwaj, and she.
Oh.
You may know her. She's a women in blockchain advocate. Anu.
Is she like crypto queens?
Something like that. I think so. She's on LinkedIn. Just a new Bardwaj.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, she's got her. She's being traveled around just like Jillian. She's being carted around and speaking on.
Yeah. So I'm on her. She has a. I know exactly who you're talking about. I'm part of a WhatsApp group with her, but that she, I guess, kind of set up.
Okay.
Called Kenyan Crypto Queens.
Probably. I think that is her. Yeah.
Yeah. So very cool. So you're going to set up something with her. That should be awesome.
We had plans on doing a regular show on women in blockchain and talking about the new technology and what women are the biggest voice right now. And I think Jillian and her would be a great team to work with for yourself, especially.
Well, I would love to. But those two are dynamic.
Well, so I will absolutely put you in touch with Jillian. She would love to talk with you.
I would love that. That would be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And
very friendly.
I know we're about to wrap up. Before we go, everyone, please check out www.houseafrica.io.
Yes.
Check out our platform.
There it is.
Check out our demo. Check out our team. And join our Telegram group. Like us on Facebook.
Yes.
Like us on LinkedIn.
You have a Twitter page too, right?
I'm sorry?
You have Twitter, you have Telegram, Medium, Facebook.
Twitter, right. We have Twitter, we have Telegram, Medium, Reddit. Check us out and find out a little bit more about what we're doing. And if you have a property or you're interested in property in Africa, we'll be going live in the next couple of months.
Okay.
And hopefully I'll be able to come back on the show and talk about that. But just make sure to check us out and find out about us. And when we go, fully live, we'll let you go. You'll be one of the first to know.
And BitPaya, bitpaya.com.
Right. www.bitpaya.com is a cryptocurrency platform, probably one of the only African developed, African owned, cryptocurrency platforms in the world. There are a couple of them, but very few. So, BitPaya is happy to join that group of a few.
Awesome. Very nice.
Of crypto. And then the Blockchain Institute, which we're looking to have going, and by the first quarter of 2019. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited about everything.
Wonderful.
There's a lot of excitement, lots to do, and hopefully we can get Dean over here.
I'd love to. Yes, man. My gosh, I'll bring my camera and I would just have a ball.
Yeah, I think it'll be awesome.
Yes.
Come kind of do a podcast in one of our classes.
We should. Yes.
Talk to our co-founders, Ikopo and Uba.
I think we should.
We can talk to them. They're really bright guys and able to chat a lot about the continent and some of the changes that we think will happen. So,
I think the kids at home would love to see that, and I would absolutely love to bring a camera over there, be out there on the savannah. I would set up a little desk out there in Savannah, and
well, you probably get eaten, so I don't know if that's a good idea.
You probably get eaten, so I don't want to be eaten. I don't want to be eaten.
No, I don't want you to be eaten either. We need you to do some more shows. Okay, so good. I don't know if that's a good idea, but you can set your desk up on a camp on the edge of the mountain. That would be ideal.
I want to be in one of those tank trucks, the kind with the big iron bars on the windows that...
the Range Rovers.
Yeah.
They use a lot of the Land Rovers and Range Rovers with the kind of safari top. So,
yeah,
that would be...
Yeah, a steel cage.
Steel cage.
A steel cage.
I've been on safari a couple of times between I mean, there's a local one right here in Nairobi called the Nairobi National Park, and I just take my big gigantic VW Touareg out there, and I'm good to go.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm good to go. Or I'll go in a friend's car. It's nothing special out there, but like when you're going to Masai Mara, that's when you need your heavy duty 4x4s and with your nice big tires. But otherwise, it's and I have friends that are pilots, so if you're ready to come out here, they'll be able to kind of fly you out on their plane out to the mountain. Yeah, it's lots of fun.
Oh my God! Well, I'm absolutely gonna let's put that into motion. Let's make that happen.
Let's get you one shot and your visa, and I think you'll be good. Maybe two, but nothing more.
Can they combine it into one shot? Do I have to take 2 shots?
I got one of mine combined into 1 shot, but I think it hurt equally as much. So I don't know. 1 or 2 shots are going to make a difference, man.
Yeah.
The hep shot was the worst. Oh, the hep and the tetanus shot. I think I'm pronouncing tetanus.
Yeah.
It's painful when you feel it for days. It's like somebody jabbed you in the arm. It's painful.
Yeah, it is. Just terrified of shots. So, all right.
Well, just close your eyes and take a lollipop.
I will. Awesome. Man, Nakia, it was awesome talking with you and finally getting to sit down with you. So, appreciate your time, and let's do it again really soon. Okay.
Thank you. All right, I'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right, good talk. See ya.
All right, and make sure you send me the link to that film that you were talking about on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I'll do it right now. How do I do that?
Awesome.
Do I do it? Can I just start typing?
You can send it to me in WhatsApp, actually.
I'll do that. I'll do that. Okay, cool. All right.
Send it right to you.
All right, Nakia.
All right.
Good talking with you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.